The passers-by on the street near the Old Bart pub had a good laugh as they watched the scene unfold. A group of hard criminals were running mindlessly out of the bar. Two beautiful white geldings stood tied in front of the tavern, sending a clear message to the people outside exactly what was occurring within the only watering hole in town. Such noble, powerful animals were reserved almost exclusively for the elite members of the Gilsk army, more commonly referred to as Amazons. The suburb of Blyst, the capital of Gilsk, was the exact opposite of other parts of the big city. The appearance, and even more the way of life of its inhabitants, stood out completely from the rest of the kingdom. It was the only place where the most rebellious male citizens and a few disobedient females were somewhat free to live and act as they wished. In exchange for this kind of freedom, those who chose to settle down in Blyst had to agree to the inconveniences that it had to offer: an absolute rule of lawlessness, complete disregard of authorities for their welfare, and frequent life-threatening disrepair of buildings. This life without rules implied that they should not wholly resist the laws. Every major theft that could affect the rest of the kingdom would cause rapid and relentless intervention by the regular army, and sometimes even by the most elite warrior women. The first thing that crossed the minds of these shabby suburb inhabitants when seeing two Amazons on the muddy streets was that somebody was about to learn the hard way not to stray too far from the rules. Someone had apparently committed a crime, and it was almost inevitable that he would regret it very soon. The usual suspects ended up pressed against the wall. It was difficult to hide one's fear. Once in the hands of the Amazons, one would never consider performing another foolish act. Only a couple of slaps were usually enough to make a man swear on his life, and the lives of all his loved ones, that he knew nothing. Frightened facial expressions, often a scream or two, and a few tears were convincing evidence that he was not lying. Amazon warriors were equally well known for their tendency to fight whenever possible, and for their cruelty, which was applied only when it was considered necessary. All existent forms of torture were known to them. One rule, though, was clear. The cruelty would not be applied to anyone they desired, especially if not in war activities. It was allowed only in dealing with known and proven criminals. In the suburbs, it was challenging to find someone who did not belong to that group.